Reya El-Salahi.
BBC Radio Nottingham.
Now, it's been a weekend of football highs and lows, depending on whether you're a Forest or County fan this afternoon. Talking of which, my next guest is one of the game's greats. Nottingham-born Viv Anderson was the first black footballer to play for England. In 2000, he was awarded an MBE and inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame just 4 years later. And now, almost 40 years after his career as a professional footballer began, he's decided to tell his groundbreaking story for the first time in the autobiography, First Among Equals. And Viv Anderson joins us here on BBC Radio Nottingham now. Viv, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
I've just got to pull you up on something there. It's First Among Unequals.
First Among Unequals. I do apologise. How could I get the name of your autobiography wrong?
It took me 40 years to get to that name, so
and it took me just a few seconds to ruin it. Well, you're here with us this afternoon. Thank you so much. Tell us a bit about your autobiography, First Among Unequals.
Yeah.
That's the one. Now, really a day goes by without the ultra-rich, I think luxurious world is the best way to describe it, of football, making headlines, possibly for all the wrong reasons. But when you first started out back in the 1970s, it was a whole world away from what it is now, wasn't it?
It certainly was. I think my first wage as an apprentice was like £7 or something like that. And I tell you what, I was glad to get the £7 in those days because I just wanted to be a professional footballer. So, but out of that £7, I think 3 of those pounds went to my mum for my digs. So, you know, so there's not a lot to spend on it, but I was delighted to be a footballer, and that's all I wanted to be.
Well, talking of which, it was an amazing career that spanned, as I say, almost 4 decades to date now. Do you have a specific high point of your career as a professional footballer?
Listen, I've been very fortunate to play for a lot of good clubs and a lot of highlights and lots of lows as well in that point as well. But, I mean, to play for your hometown club and to win back-to-back European Cups is a great honour. To play for my country was a great honour as well. So I was born and bred in Nottingham, as you know. So to play for my country was a fantastic thing. And to get the MBE from the Queen herself, which is an even better thing for me. So there's lots of highs, lots of lows. Obviously, injuries come along with that as well. I was injured, dislocated 2 kneecaps. You name it, I've done it. But at the end of the day, I've had a fabulous career. And people say, why now? You want to tell the story? Well, I would never wanted to, but somebody said to me, listen, I read a lot of books and I've read a lot of rubbish books over the last few years, and you must have a story to tell. And I said, well, I'm not so sure about that. And then when you put it down on paper, you think, well, I may have some stories to tell. So here we are now.
Did you surprise yourself with the stories you had to tell when you started to relive all your 4 decades of career?
Yeah. It's not a book so you can just slag people off or do this or do that or sensationalize things and make it, more than it is. It's just a story of a footballer's career that spans 3 decades or 4 decades as it is. It's not just about, we scored here, we won this, we won that. It's about marriages, divorces, children, you name it. Everything's involved in that.
Well, when you've been through as much as you have in your career, do you see all these young footballers coming up and earning millions and millions and wish that you've been perhaps born a few years later?
Not at all. No, people ask me that all the time. I prefer the time when I played. I enjoyed the time when I played, and it is what it is, Good luck to them. It's a very, very, very short career. I played with a lad called Einar Ors who got injured in a game at Sunderland. I remember it to this day. He turned to get the ball off the goalkeeper, fell over, never played football again. So it's a very, very short career. You never know what's around the corner. You never know what's going to happen. And if somebody's prepared to give you X, Y, Z a week, a month, a year, then you've got to seriously consider it for your family and everything else. So I'm not one of those bitter and twisted footballers. No.
Oh, good. Well, something that I think must be quite close to your heart, being the first black footballer to play for England, is racism in football. And it's something that we hear a lot about nowadays with all the campaigns to kick racism out of football. Now, as the first black player for England, you must have a lot of stories to tell where racism in football is concerned.
Well, they are, but I mean, there were more so, because I was a defender more so than a forward. You speak to Laurie Cunningham and Sil Regis, and sadly Laurie's not with us now, but Sil's with us, but Laurie's not, sadly. But they were the forwards, and I was the defender. My job was just to kick people, basically. So I never got anywhere near as much a stick as they did. So my stories, there's a few stories to be told, but when you read the book, obviously. Yeah, it was prevalent at the time. It's in the early 70s when there was not many black faces about, and clearly there was some things to be said. But, you know, in the book I try and address those issues, and I think football's moved on a hell of a lot since those days.
So what else can we expect from the autobiography?
It's very difficult to talk about yourself and your what you've done over your career and your life. But I get people who've read the book and say to me, listen, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I've got a Twitter page and people keep on twittering me and saying how much they've enjoyed it. It's number 8 in Amazon. So that means people have enjoyed what they're reading. And it's about a footballer's life that's all those years ago. So hopefully people are going to enjoy it. You can buy it now online. And you go to vivanderson.co.uk. You can buy it on there, and it's in W.H. Smith and Waterstone. So it's out there, and I think it's a really good read. But I'm only good what people say.
Oh, good stuff. Well, everyone's said good things so far that we've heard, and you're coming to Nottingham to sign copies of the book on Tuesday.
Yeah,
and you were
to the mega store.
You were of course born and bred right here in Clifton.
No, I was born in the centre. I moved to Clifton when I was about 8 or 9. So I was born in the centre of Nottingham.
Does it still feel like home when you come back?
Oh yes, my parents are still there, my brother's still there, so it's always an opportunity to come back and see my parents and my brother. So yeah, I've got lots of friends there, so I try to stay over when I can, so I make a night of it. So I know all the bars and all the gin joints are all of Nottingham, so don't worry about that.
So where can we expect to see you out drinking on Tuesday night?
No, listen, I'm not telling you that. even my wife doesn't know that, so we've got no chance.
Viv, thank you so much for joining us on BBC
Radio
Radio Nottingham. Best of luck with the book.
Thank you.
Which is, of course, called First Among Unequals. I did get that wrong at the beginning. How bad's that? What a lovely man. Viv Anderson on BBC Radio Nottingham. And I can't recommend enough reading that story. Such an interesting career spanning over 4 decades.